And that's kind of frustrating when people just say, oh, you're really stupid. It's like, I'm not stupid, I just have different ways of showing it.
Krystal Shaw looks like a normal university student, but unknown to her, she was living with a disability for 18 years. Krystal has dyspraxia, a condition which affects people's coordination and motor skills. It's been a year since she was diagnosed.
What were the first signs when you were growing up? Were there any signs that you showed that you may have a problem or you might be different to everyone else?
Yeah, when I was about between the ages of 3 and 5, I stuttered a lot to the point where I couldn't even continue what I was saying because I would forget what I was saying by the time I managed to figure out the word that I was looking for. I was never good at sports. I would walk into things a lot. My social kind of around everyone was really different. I had a really immature vocabulary. Despite being quite young, it was a lot less than everyone else would have.
And how did it make you feel when you thought maybe something might be wrong or like, you were acting different to everyone else? How did you feel when you were around other people?
Really cut off from everyone. It got to a point where I wouldn't bother kind of going out to play with people. I'd spend a lot of time indoors, or if I was at school, I would be kept in a lot anyway because I had to finish work that I was unable to do. So even if I was in the playground, I'd either be kind of just sticking to like the small games that doesn't include running around and stuff. Otherwise, you know, all the other kids notice that kind of thing, and when someone is doing something incredibly different from everyone else, you kind of become bait.
How was school for you going through primary and secondary school? So you didn't know you had the condition. How was it like interacting with friends, or how was it like with teachers? Was there any problems there?
Well, for me, I moved around schools a lot, so I was always in a new environment. I was always with new teachers who weren't aware of what I was and not capable of. So there was a lot of times where I'd be doing work, I wouldn't be able to function the question properly, or I wouldn't be able to work with numbers. I'd miss words out in sentences, and I'd have to stay in during lunch and breaks times just to kind of fix that. In terms of the other students, they noticed that there was something different with me, and that was something they pinned down on, and that was quite hurtful. There's been times where I've had dictionaries thrown at me because my vocabulary didn't match theirs. Overall, it was quite a tough experience, and because I didn't know as well that I had the problem, it was worse because I didn't know how to handle it.
So you said people picked on you, you were bullied. How did you react to it? How did you feel? Did you close up, or what? How did you feel inside when you went home after a day at school after someone may have picked on you?
I felt very cut off from everyone, including family members as well, because the same kind of in the playground but not quite as bad would happen at home. I have 2 older brothers. My second eldest brother, I would walk past him and he would just have to pick on me somehow. My other brother wasn't so bad. My parents, they kind of knew something wasn't quite right, and obviously that was frustrating for them because they didn't know how to help me, nor did they know that there was anything wrong with me as such. So they were trying to kind of ignore that it was there. So I was left to kind of deal with it myself. I would spend a lot of time by myself, just to kind of keep out of the way of everyone so that I wouldn't make anyone angry, or I wouldn't break anything, like I wouldn't walk into a table and knock a vase over or something. And if like the kids were outside playing, I probably wouldn't join them because I wouldn't want to ruin their games or anything, or say something that was considered stupid. So I was very cut out from everything.
Fast forward 18 years, you're diagnosed with dyspraxia. What was your reaction to when they told you that you had the condition?
I was really upset because I've had someone tell me that the reason behind everything that happened to you in your childhood was because of a disorder. And at first I was really upset. I was trying to find out stuff about it and seeing all these things and kind of going, I'm like that because of this. So it was really upsetting for me.
And did you know anything about the condition when you were told?
Never, ever, not even like heard of it. I did not know at all what dyspraxia was.
And looking back at it, do you wish that you had been diagnosed a lot sooner after everything that's happened, obviously prior to you being diagnosed?
Yeah, I really wish I'd been diagnosed a lot sooner. My teachers could have known about it. which means I would have also been able to tell the other kids about it as well, whether they would have reacted to that or not. Personally, I don't think they would, but then I've only had the bad experiences from that, so who knows. But I think if the teachers knew about it as well, it would be a lot easier for them to deal with the other kids. I would have been able to deal with my daily life as well, and it would have been so much better. As thankful as I am to now know about it, it would have been nice to know sooner.
When you look back to when you grew up, the problems you had, is there anything you can identify now and say, right, dyspraxia has caused this, or it's helped with that, or anything in particular that stood out to you, said, this is that's really affected me the most?
Well, when I was younger, I did a lot of drawing. So when it comes to hand-eye coordination in terms of seeing something being made in front of you, I had a lot of practice with that. So I was able to do that. My mum helped me a lot with it because she's artistic. But when it came to other stuff, such as when you're doing sports day at school, there's a hoop and you have to throw the beanbag in it. That was a terrible experience for me because the beanbag would be here, well, the hoop would be here and my beanbag would be over here. And obviously everyone would laugh at that. So that was something I wasn't able to do. So I wasn't able to play sports like basketball or football or kind of any kind of ball related games. Mostly sport like moving things because I would get tangled up in my own feet. It's like I'd be running and all of a sudden I've got 7 extra legs. It feels like that anyway. But yeah, definitely sport and kind of movement, mostly movement related things, that would definitely, it held me back a lot.
And how did your friends and family react to when you told them that you had dyspraxia?
I'm going to be honest, they were in denial about it. They were kind of like, well, it might be this, it might be that. My stepmom kind of looked into whole anemia, which I've had from quite a young age. And she said it's probably just that, it's nothing to worry about kind of thing. And my mum kind of, she went on the bad side and kind of laughed at it, which made me upset. My dad, he was kind of neutral about it, which made me happy. He was kind of like, oh, okay, that's good to know kind of thing. So I was able to kind of take it from that and then find out more and stuff. But friends were kind of also in denial and just kind of going, you're using that as an excuse for just being an idiot. A few classmates as well, they like to bitch about it a lot in class and say that I'm only getting this extra help because I'm being lazy and I don't want to do the work and I'm just like overreacting and being really melodramatic about it all, but that is definitely not the case at all.
And go back to your family, how they reacted. How did you feel when they were in denial about the condition?
I'm not entirely sure. I was a little bit upset that I didn't have their support at first. I mean, there was some support there because they noticed that I was really upset about it, but then it kind of upset me more that they were trying to say it wasn't that, whereas I'd looked it up, I'd been told it, and it was very obvious. Like, it wasn't just like a little bit of dyspraxia, it was a fair bit. But over the years, I've managed to help myself, regardless of not knowing about it. I've, somewhere along the line, given myself like a few kind of tips or something to kind of go, here is a problem, here's how I fix it. So they kind of just went, oh, it's nothing you can't deal with, blah, 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 you'll be fine within like a few years kind of thing, whereas really, it's not really give it a few years and it'll all go away. It's something that's always there and you just have to work around it and hope that everyone else can appreciate that and work around it with you. People
look at you and say, you're just being lazy. How do you feel when people are just saying, you're lazy, you don't have this condition, you're just making it up?
When people say that to me, I just kind of go, you are far from wrong. Having dyspraxia, I'm working a lot faster than what everyone else is, hence why sometimes the stuff I do doesn't come out properly because my brain's overworking and it gets muddled up on the way to actually doing it. So when someone says, you're being lazy, it is anything but being lazy. It's trying to work faster than your body's able to cope with. When I looked up dyspraxia, there were very few things that I could find, and the only things I did find was everyone kind of going, this is a terrible thing, you know, it's horrible, it's a disorder, it's like kind of a disability. Whereas I've looked at it now and kind of gone, it's not really a disability because there are so many things that I can now do, now that I'm able to help myself, that others around me aren't able to do. And sometimes that makes me understand how other people feel with dyspraxic people when they kind of go, why can't you do that? That's simple. Sometimes I have that in my head kind of going, why can't they do that? And then realise because I'm dyspraxic, I work at that pace that they're not able to do it at. So it's kind of like a win-lose situation. You're either really good at one thing or you're terrible at everything else.
And obviously moving on, you're going to be living with this condition for the rest of your life. How have you adapted, or how have you changed things to just to live as normal life as possible as with having the condition but still live a normal life?
Well, I've done a lot of different things since I found out. I looked on the Dyspraxic Foundation website and looked up what dyspraxia is, because I didn't know what it was at first. And I've looked at that and kind of gone, okay, that is a strong element that I have. I need to find out how to work around that. I work in routines now, so every day I get up, I do the same thing every day pretty much. Routines before I go to bed so that I can sleep. Routines I do before I eat to make sure that I remember to make my own food and actually eat it. And kind of like hand-eye coordination things to try and improve that. And just, I've done a lot of stuff since knowing about it, and it has improved the way I live a lot.
Do you wish there had been more support sooner, or there was more people out there that could help find the condition or diagnose the condition a lot sooner in life?
I wish that dyspraxia had the same kind of amount of look into that dyslexia does. Dyslexia is spoken a lot about. There is a lot of help for people with dyslexia. If they need the extra help, they get it. With dyspraxia, it's very similar, but people don't tend to really know what it is, and it's also underdiagnosed. No one fully understands it like they do with dyslexia because there hasn't been that much thought put into it. No one's researched it into enough to kind of, for me, as someone who is dyspraxic, to feel that I know everything I should know, and that there are people out there who are to help me to the fullest that I should be able to be helped, unlike people with dyslexia. Because I have family members who are dyslexic and they get so much more help than I do, and I think, you know, good for them, they're getting the help they need, but what about people like myself who have dyspraxia, who aren't always given, not necessarily what we deserve, but the help that we should get so that we can live a life the same as everyone else. You know, a life that everyone can kind of go about doing things, not being noticed in the street for being different and then having peers kind of make fun of them and think they're just stupid, whereas really they're perfectly fine. They're just slightly different in a way.